Now, the latest CFTC report showed that traders are very stretched to the long side in the US dollar. And when you see stretch positioning like this, that means there's a vulnerability for a sharp correction if there's any reason for US dollar selling. Now, this week, we've got some significant data points coming up. The US PPI print, the US CPI print on Thursday, and the University of Michigan consumer sentiment data on Friday, all of which have the potential to move the dollar sharply. If we see a big miss in these data points, that should be negative for the dollar. And if we see a big beat on these prints and better than the market's expecting, that should be positive for the dollar. Now, with the dollar being so stretched to the long side, it makes sense to favour selling if it's appropriate. Now, if you look at the seasonal perspective, you can see over the first sort of half of October, the dollar index is vulnerable to falls. So weakness in the first of October is a seasonal buy. So if there's reasons to sell the dollar, including a miss in the PPI, a miss in the CPI, and the miss in the University of Michigan consumer sentiment data, then it would be reasonable to expect dollar downside, and then perhaps you might see Aussie US dollar upside longs would make sense, or Euro US dollar upside longs would make sense if you don't have access to the dollar index itself. Now, major trade risks, all outlooks have risks, of course. This is no exception. The major trade risk here, of course, is that yields rise on higher US interest rate fears and the dollar gains even further if the upcoming US data comes in much better than expected. There is also a geopolitical risk if there's further fallout from the Gaza-Israel conflict with an escalation involving other countries. That's also likely to support the US dollar. Remember, don't just trade it, season exit. What we've spoken about here in this video is seasonal analysis surrounding Microsoft. We want to put seasonals, fundamentals, and technicals all together for a great trade. We have the latest high probability swing trade setup for you ready to grab right now. Just click below this video and we'll send to you the current seasonal swing trade pick for the current month straight away.